So calling the meeting to order, do we have a flag? I don't know that we have a flag.
I could grab one from downstairs if you want to wait.
I
guess so.
guess so.
Okay, if that'll do.
Okay, thank you. Please stand.
Here
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of
to the
the
flag
United States of
of the
America
United States of America.
and to the
and
to the
republic
republic
which stands one nation under God,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, liberty, justice.
and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence, both for our fallen firefighters across the country and for the ease of Chairman Harry Ackley and his family as
Karen, I can't hear a thing.
they go
Jude, you can.
through.
Jude.
Yeah, I can hear you, Bill. You're the only one that I can hear. That's it.
Probably not a quorum.
Well,
I had the Pledge of Allegiance. Was that not them?
yes, we did. And we've got Bill and Joe and John and me.
John.
So we have a quorum. And what I was saying was a moment of silence, both for fallen firefighters and for the health and ease of Chairman Harry Ackley and his family as they go through these challenging times.
Somebody must be running up and down the stairs.
The minutes, I could use a motion for approval. Commissioners? John, okay.
John.
Bill, can you
And a
hear
second?
anything else, or is it just me and you just
No.
can hear?
No. All I can hear is
No.
you, Jude.
Yeah, same here. Okay, so maybe he has
Now,
everyone
what
else
we were
muted.
given was a phone number, right?
Correct. Yep. That's
No,
all I was
Jude?
given. Yeah, anyone was given.
Jude, can you hear me?
Jude and Bill, can you hear me?
I can
Yes,
hear
now
you.
we can. Yep.
Because I'm just a call-in, and the only people I've heard are you and you two, and occasionally Karen in the background.
Right.
Yeah, same here, Norma.
Has someone texted Karen?
Yeah,
Sorry?
He's here.
Norma, I hear you.
Oh, good.
But I don't think everyone is hearing everyone. Commissioner Bill, there is a link also in the email that I sent today.
For computer.
There is.
Yeah, it was an email sent at, hang on, I can tell you,
Unmuted.
at 9:22 a.m.
Jude, can you hear us now?
Yes.
You
Yes,
guys are
it's very
confusing me,
echoey,
giving me
but
two options. All right, let me try WebEx. I'm hanging up.
Okay, thank you.
Are we still going to use the same number?
The number should be, if you're going to dial in, it's 516-597-9432.
And Bill is on now.
I'm sorry. What were the last four digits?
9432.
Okay, so it's the same. It's the same number I'm on now. This is Frank Spilsky.
Oh, hi, Frank.
Good evening. I'll go on mute.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, we have 4 commissioners, so I'm going to continue. I got a motion from John, but need a second, and we do, Joe Olzecki. Okay, you're there, because I need, okay, and got a second from Joe. Any discussion or issues from the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, hands are great since we're all on. Any opposed? No, the 4 commissioners are accounted for. I now need, based on the correspondence you received, a request to a motion to amend the agenda, which will require a 2/3 vote. And I see Joe is motioning. I need a second. And Bill is motioning. And the language, I think, I'll offer it for you, gentlemen, even though you made the motion, to establish the eligibility list for Fairfield Fire Department's mechanic based on the recommendations of the search team effective November 13th, 2020 to November 12th, 2022. Jude, I can send this to you unless extended by formal vote of the Fairfield Board of Fire Commissioners.
Yes, that's the motion that I make.
Great.
Well
Okay.
said, Joe.
Thank you for the notes, gentlemen, that I was able to put it together on that. Any discussion? We had materials in advance. If there's no questions, we'll just go to a vote. But if anybody has questions, please speak up. Okay. All in favor? Aye. John? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because we need all of us. Chairman's report. We have a thank you note from Karen Ackley for the soup, which I will read. And bread. Dear fire commissioners, thank you so much for all the delicious soups you brought to our house. Each one was so yummy. We certainly appreciate your kindness. Please keep your prayers coming. We need them. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart, Karen Dumas Ackley. And the only other report I have is Harry and I were both reappointed to 5-year terms by the Board of Selectmen at their November 2nd meeting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Chief's report.
Yes, I'll start with the capital projects. As you recall, Chairman Ackley had appointed Commissioner Cinto to be the liaison to the Department for Capital Projects and Construction. The Deputy Chief, myself, and Assistant Chief Skylar Sherwood, who handles our building projects, met with Commissioner Cinto last week. We reviewed where we are in the process. We have a contract with an architect, Chris Williams Architects out of New Haven, to design the bathroom spaces. And we continue to work through those issues, waiting for a revision to the plans that we've been back and forth with the architect on. And hopefully we will get concurrence from the building official that they meet in the intent of the building code, in particular ADA requirements, and gender access or gender availability of bathrooms, particularly for our Station 2 and ADA compliance at Station 1 on Reef Road. So we work through that and continue to work through those issues. The up for review as part of our waterfall budget in 21-22 is a request for $250,000, which is inconsistent over the 5 years of our projected capital projects to do overhead doors and our apparatus ventilation systems. So we reviewed those. We are currently receiving estimates from contractors so we can, if and when that gets approved, we can move forward with that project. And lastly, the apparatus maintenance division project, we continue to look at that and our Station 4. That's in 22-23. We have $3 million in the capital waterfall projection for that year. That will take a considerable amount of additional work to clarify and fine tune those numbers. But we think that if we begin now, we actually met with the architect for the fire school to help us work through some of those issues. They've been very gracious to lend some time to us to help us sort through some of those. So we'll continue to work and keep you updated. But this year's project is bathrooms, next year overhead doors and vehicle exhaust systems, and the third year apparatus maintenance and the Station 4 renovation or relocation. I would expect that given the economic circumstances facing the town and the state, that it's doubtful that we'll do anything more than a renovation at Station 4 and make sure that it is consistent with our goal that any money that we spend should have a 50-year lifespan, life projection, that we're not spending a lot of money for a short-term gain and 10 years down the road we'll come up with another plan. We want to make sure that we would prefer to wait and do it right than to rush it forward. So that's our philosophy going forward. As you mentioned, the addition to our agenda tonight was a result of the retirement of Jim Allen, who served the department as our mechanic under Master Mechanic Demko. Jim Allen has worked for us for 18 years and retired and moved north. And that doesn't happen very often, that people move in that direction. But he has a place on a lake up in New Hampshire that the family has had in the family for a long time. So we're very happy for Jim. And he was very well respected in the department. And we'll miss his very calm demeanor and a bright smile every day. But as you know, I've been a strong advocate for our maintenance division. It keeps our people safe. And as we look to replace Jim, we wanted to make sure that anybody that we hire have that same philosophy, that all of our apparatus has to, if we put it on the road, it has to work 100%, and there's no room for failure. So that is the perspective we brought into the interviews that we can share with you if you'd like. COVID-19, and I'll move on unless you have any questions. Look for hands as I go through, but yes, Joe. You're muted.
Chairman, I just have one question for the chief, especially now with the bringing a new mechanic in and having that little bit of a learning curve. I know we had a part-time person in the shop for a while. Do we still have any part-time help now for the mechanic now that he's going to be, becoming a teacher of our ways and yet still trying to keep things going? Does he have any additional help in there?
So the person that we recommend for a hire is an experienced fire department mechanic, works in the city of New Haven, and has a significant amount of experience to hit the ground running. In the interim, our part-time assistant to the mechanic as a career firefighting position in Groton, and has become less and less available to us in Fairfield. Has pitched in as we have worked to bring the new ladder truck online. He is our lighting expert. So he's done all of the emergency lighting package for the new ladder, tower ladder. And so he is available upon request, but that doesn't happen as often, as frequently as he used to provide us 19 and a half hours a week. And we just don't have that. But we have authorized overtime for the master mechanic, and we are keeping up. Let me put it that way. But we look to replace the mechanic's position as quickly as possible, so we don't fall too far behind with preventive maintenance and any repairs.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I know how much work the two of them did in there, and now being shorthanded. So.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, our COVID response continues to evolve as it should, given what you've all seen in the news and the impact of spiking cases. We're now at somewhere, I think the number came out, we're about 35. Our infection rate is 35 per 100,000. And we are one of 100 communities in the state of Connecticut that are in the red, which is cases above 15 per 100,000. So we have stepped up our initiatives inside the department. We've done, we have the response side has been nailed down, and that hasn't changed. The level of protection and PPE and policies and procedures have not changed since March. We've emphasized, that the importance of all of those issues. But what we have done is continue to address the internal threat to become infected from exposures outside the fire department. Everybody goes home. They go home to other communities that are in the red. They're exposed to family members who are going to work every day and kids that are going to school. There is a greater risk for infection from outside the department than from inside the department. And our fear is that someone could become infected, test positive, and have exposed members of the department. That did happen last week. And unfortunately, it happened at Station 2, where the most number of employees are, because they eat together unmasked. They ride in fire apparatus to emergency calls, sometimes unmasked, and they share a bunk room unmasked. That they're all considered exposed, even though they're following all the protocols of the department of wearing a mask when other than eating or sleeping and maintaining social distancing. So we have done all the things that we could do, but when we had an employee test positive, his wife was sick, she tested positive, he tested positive, we had to put all 8 members in quarantine. Since then, and not that we are able to prevent the quarantine requirement, we have stepped up, changed, if you recall back in the spring, we reduced our EMS calls to only life-threatening emergencies. So the sick person is just getting an ambulance. They're not getting a fire truck and a police car, unless there is some life-threatening condition that moves that up to code 1. So we changed that back to that protocol in consultation with AMR in the hospital. We are investigating air purifiers in those spaces like the bunk rooms. We have required that people distance themselves in the kitchen, and actually have moved dining out onto the apparatus floor of Station 1 because the kitchen there is so small and 6 firefighters can't eat safely in that room. And we have, the gyms can only be occupied by 1 person at a time, and we're upgrading our masking for response in the apparatus to a respirator as opposed to a simple mask. So we are revising our protocols, and the goal is to keep any additional quarantines that affect our members to a bare minimum. And we'll continue to work on that. If there are any questions before I move on. Yeah.
Chief, what's our testing protocol?
So we do require that those people who travel out of state, if they go to a red state, by state regulation, they can test as opposed to a 14-day quarantine. So we are enforcing that for anybody who might travel, and we're discouraging travel, but kids in college and other circumstances may require people to travel. So we're requiring that testing. We are requiring testing for anyone who is exposed in quarantine, a negative test prior to returning to work. And we are working with the health department and the universities and the state of Connecticut to have department-wide testing. We haven't had a department-wide testing protocol, either a surveillance protocol or random testing up until this point. We feel that given the spike in cases, now's the time to require that. If you drive past any of the walk-in medical facilities, you'll see the line is very long from the time they open to the time they close. The one down the street from me had 20 people at the waiting outside at the time they opened. When I went by there at lunchtime, 20 people still waiting in line, thankfully different 20 people, but a consistent backlog of cases. Spoke with the health director who is working with the state. We have asked, the town of Fairfield has to ask the state to provide in community public testing. And they are, all of the testing companies are beyond capacity. They don't have bandwidth to add another site in Fairfield. But we continue to push that in consultation with Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection today. We have requested that public safety employees, police and fire, be provided with state testing, which was done in the spring up in New Haven, and they discontinued it. So we continue to push for those testing options so that we can have better understanding of who might be at risk. Excuse me one second. Sorry, there was a timer going off. So we continue to push for testing, and that's one of the few tools left in the toolbox that we haven't used that we're looking to employ now.
Thank you.
Commissioner. Muted. You're muted.
Thank you. Given that the universities, both of them, have had pretty extensive testing resources dedicated, and their students are drifting off now and will all be gone for a couple of months, probably at least, is there a way to potentially work through diverting those testing resources to now be available to test at least the municipal employees we need?
So we, about a month ago, I asked specifically if we could be added into Fairfield University's testing process because, as you point out, they're doing so much testing. What's another 100? And we are providing Firewatch at the isolation center at Fairfield University. So I thought that there was great justification for us to be included, even if we paid for the test ourselves, which we had offered to do. There is a license agreement between the testing company and the university. So they felt that we would need to, that they wouldn't be able to add us in. The testing company said that would be a separate license agreement. And that brought me back to Sands Clary, the health director, to get testing through the state of Connecticut. If the state does provide the testing, we've requested the first hour or so that would process town employees, particularly police and fire first responders, as a priority. So, yes, to your point, you would think that the university, that would have been an easy, what we thought would be an easy yes, it became more complicated. So we went back to the state. And if not, we now have, resources from both Fairfield University and Sacred Heart, the testing, and AMR. AMR is starting testing as well. So we know who they're using, and either we'll use one of those vendors or be part of the state or AMR system. It's interesting, AMR was looking to include us and other fire department, police departments that they work with in their testing process.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted on that, but it is the next thing that we have to add to keep our employees safe and reduce the potential for in-station infections.
Okay. Commissioners, other commissioners' questions? Okay.
So the 2021 budget, we are 21-22 budget, excuse me. We are awaiting, I spoke to the chief fiscal officer on Tuesday, and we are expecting a budget message either tomorrow or sometime next week. We kind of anticipate what that message is going to be. I don't think that it's going to be any surprise that that it will be very restricted. It gets back to some of the discussions that we have had in our staffing proposal from last year. If you saw in your packet, the income in our fire marshal's fees is much, I mean, it's down to the level that we used to have. Fire marshal's fees year to date is 16,000 from a projection, and our total numbers over 500,000 last year. So that was the justification that we had put forth for our staffing offset. So we will work through those issues when the budget message comes out, but I would expect that there's not going to be a lot of flexibility for departments, especially for any additions. I'll keep you posted. And with that, there was no donations called out in the budget. I mean, in the packet. I didn't see any paperwork on it. So with that, I'll conclude my comments.
Great. Any questions, commissioners, before we move on to the DC? Okay, Deputy?
Good evening. So the local EMS plan we've been working on, it's been completed, vetted by the state, and hopefully signed by Brenda next week. We're working on to improve Fairfield's alerting, our messaging, and trying to help build out the internal messaging for the health department. So we've been working on that. The chief asked us to work on a utility contact information sheet, which will be something which will be on our website and in a PSA telling everybody ahead of time, ahead of the winter storms or whatever. Here's how you get in contact with your UI's representatives. This is how you can sign up for certain alerts from them, from Frontier, from Altice Cable, and also from Aquarian Water. So we're making that up as a PSA.
And Deputy, while you're on that, please provide the update on our meeting with UI next week.
The other thing I would, while it only comes up potentially in a flood, make sure that Southern Connecticut Gas is on there.
Okay, yes. Chief, what did you ask in regards
to
next
week, the UI meeting, if you just want to add that in your comments?
Oh, you want to talk about it? You were setting it up.
Okay, just quickly, we had requested that UI improve its communication to the community and to residents. We proposed a dashboard or a couple of different dashboards. One would be public facing and one would be integral to the emergency management team for each of the 17 towns that they serve. We had a very productive meeting with them. I reached back and we made a presentation. Chairwoman Brennan helped proof that and made some very valuable suggestions on how to present to UI, given her experience with that, with the company. And so I reached back to them and said, you know, where do we stand? And I said, well, we're very positive. We've had 3 internal meetings since they came and met with us. And they asked for a meeting to provide us an update next Wednesday. We will have an update from them, and I'll share anything comes out of that. But we really want to make sure that we're getting better information about power outages, utility crews, priorities, restoration times, what roads are closed. And, you know, one of the comments that Commissioner Brennan had made to me very early on in this discussion, if it's not measured, it's not important. And one of the things that we want them to measure and evaluate is their road opening capabilities through the Make Safe Crew, which we've talked about at length. So that's been part of it. And I'm very encouraged that UI is coming back to us with a meeting request. So I will keep you updated as that develops.
Okay. So in line with what the chief was speaking to you about revising our COVID-19 protocols, we took delivery of an electrostatic sprayer. It's a big unit, which one of our firefighters is very familiar with on his off-duty time. And so he's teaching everybody how to use it. And we've set up a schedule to go around to each of the firehouses on a particular day, spraying the firehouse, the living spaces, and also the apparatus. So it's state of the art, and hopefully it's going to be another thing to help keep our people healthy and to give them confidence in coming to work in a safe environment. We're continuing to document our spending to support federal reimbursement. So that's an ongoing process with the front office. We're in the process, as Chief said, of preparing our 2022 budget. It's just a matter of starting the process. We haven't been asked to provide anything to the town yet, but we know it's coming very soon. So we're getting a start on it. So that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? We're all good? Okay. Southport Volunteer Fire Department?
Yes.
Anybody?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening. Frank Chaplinsky, Southport Fire. We had our annual election of officers this month. David Becker has remained the chief of the department. His term actually wasn't up, but we do have a new president. Brendan Cassidy is taking over as the role of the president, and I have been asked to serve as liaison between the department and the fire commission. So you will be hearing from me more often this year. And looking forward to that as well. Other than that, the guys are staying safe. They continue to follow all the necessary protocols, and we can't wait for this to be over and get back into the swing of things.
Okay. Thank you very much. Stratfield.
Thank you.
Stratfield?
I don't think we have anyone on.
Okay. Local 1426. I don't think we had anybody. CERT, I believe Norma is on. Is Norma unmuted?
It looks to be unmuted. Let me double check. Yes.
Norma, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Now we
Yes, we
can.
can.
I'm here. Okay. Anyway, good evening. CERT continues to, as we have been before, supporting the delivery of meals and food through the senior center. Some CERT members continue to act as contact tracers for the state. And this is the last week of the CERT virtual basic training, and we expect to have 17 students complete that virtual portion. And there's a little snag. There's an additional requirement of a hands-on fire extinguisher exercise, and we haven't yet figured out how to accomplish that with our students in the current environment, but we'll figure it out somehow. And that's the report.
Excellent. Congratulations on your 17 in this environment. That's quite an accomplishment.
Very good.
So,
Yep. We're very pleased.
any questions from the commissioners? No. Old business, anybody need old business? Yes, Bill. You're muted. Still muted.
I don't think I've muted him.
No.
Here, hold on. How about that?
There you go.
There you go.
Chief, given the difficulty in obtaining the full-fledged testing, I get hit with that temperature going into a lot of places. Would it make sense to take the temperature of firefighters coming into work?
We have done that every day since the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, that's been anybody who enters the firehouse, and we've restricted access. There's no visitors. There is an occasional by appointment only, as is the case for all municipal offices, by appointment only. But everybody who comes into the firehouse, including the firefighters, get their temperature taken every day or
Thank you.
every entry.
Good. Anyone else with questions? Okay, moving on to new business. I am going to appoint the nominating committee. I've asked Bill Fitzpatrick, Rob Cinto, and Liam Burke to serve on the committee, with Bill acting as chair. The nominations are for both chair and secretary. They will plan on reporting back at our December meeting, and at that meeting, we will also vote. So our agenda needs to show that we will have a report and a vote at the December meeting. Anything else that we need to bring up? Are we good? Everybody good? Oh, Joe, I see you now.
It's okay. That's good. I just want to make a comment that was made available to us. The presentation this afternoon from the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. The invite went out to the for a webinar on how to run legal and effective public meetings. This is the second one I've done of that. They're very informational, and I think I don't know if anybody else on the commission had a chance to sit through it.
Yeah, I did.
They're pretty good. I got a couple of my questions answered. In fact, I posed 3 questions, and all 3 of them were answered. So these are decent presentations. I don't think they were a waste of time. Sometimes you do some of these webinars, they're a waste of time. And I think if any of the other ones come up, it is very beneficial to people who sit on commissions and committees such as ourselves to try to participate in it. That's all I have on that there. Thank you.
Yes, Joe, it was very good. And we should be getting the slides from it by tomorrow. And so we can share that with the entire commission. I too got questions answered. And since it came up, Chief, one of the ones I got is, as long as we provide a final agenda 24 hours before a meeting, we can go ahead and revise it and then not deal with having to change the agenda in the meeting. I did not get an answer as to whether the legal holiday mattered, but they kept using the reference of 24 hours, not of business days, or it was a 24 hours in advance. Your final agenda has to be up.
Yeah, so to that point, I saw Betsy Brown yesterday at the Veterans Memorial Service at Town Hall, and asked her the question, and she was pretty emphatic. And I don't know whether it's a posting because we weren't able to post it, that may have been the reason why.
Yeah, it has to be posted.
It has to be
If
posted.
you can post it 24 hours in advance, then you're okay.
So I think if a meeting was on Monday, you could not add it on Sunday because unless you could post it. So the holiday or a weekend, and I thought that we could post it to the website, on Holly, because I know the deputy can do that. But she was emphatic. I didn't push it because we had a reasonable option.
Right.
But we got to under that, and I'll follow up with her and see if there is if she would be okay if we went into the system, if it ever happened on a Sunday or a day, a holiday, to add that. But yes, that is, the 24 hours is clear.
Yeah, they did answer that. So, but yes,
Okay.
it was very good. Thank you for that update, Joe. It was a very good session. And really just all content and lots of ability to answer questions. So, when we get that, we'll provide it to go out, to the whole group. Anything else? Okay, with that, I can use a motion to adjourn from someone.
moved.
Joe and John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all passed. No nays.
Thank you, commissioners. It's good to see you. Stay
Yes.
safe. And we won't see you before Thanksgiving. So have a
Right.
great Thanksgiving.
Yes, and Jude, I will send you the language for that motion now.
Thank
So,
you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Jude. Good night, all.
Enjoy, be safe.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.